Hey everybody, Motorpoet59 here. I was just reading a friend's post on Facebook about how they were going to get off Facebook for a while, and by golly, I don't blame them. Facebook's becoming a very screwy place. I I still post on there occasionally if I find something interesting to post or if I have some crazy idea or something that I want to share with somebody. But for the most part, I just use it to share my YouTube videos and so people can watch stuff that so people can watch my videos that may not otherwise know about them, that may not otherwise know about my channel. And one of the comments that this person made was that they said, "Oh, I understand everybody's First Amendment right. Hey, the First Amendment is not in effect on Facebook. We can say whatever we want, but Facebook is a company. If it wants to remove your posts or whatever you have to say, it can. If you don't like it, delete your Facebook account. Don't use it anymore." I get tired of people thinking that the First Amendment protects them from employers. I'm retired now, but when I was working, I couldn't go to work and hurl racial epithets or threaten my bosses or anything like that. The company had specific guidelines that I had to follow, rules I had to follow to remain employed. I couldn't be insubordinate. You're not protected from an employer by the Constitution, and you're not protected for an entity such as YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or anything. If they want to take your post down, they can. It has nothing to do with the First Amendment. The First Amendment is there to protect us from the government. It's there to protect us. If we want to criticize the government, we have the right to do that, as long as we don't become threatening. You cannot threaten people. That is not a First Amendment right. We don't have the right to threaten people. It doesn't protect people from each other. You cannot come and get in my face and start poking me in the chest at some protest or rally or whatever. You can't do that. You can, but you'll get knocked on your ass if you do it to me. I'll knock you right in the head. And you know what? I'll get away with it. And it's not even a matter of getting away with it. You are assaulting me, threatening me, and if I feel threatened, I have the right to defend myself. And maybe I'm not really threatened by you, but that's what I'm going to tell the cops when you're laying there on your back wondering what happened. The First Amendment doesn't protect you from that. Don't go get in people's faces. And I know conservatives, isn't just about liberals, because I know conservatives that misunderstand the First Amendment as well. I've had to straighten them out a couple of times. It protects us from the government. We can't be arrested or thrown in jail for criticizing the government. Now, there were times in the early, with the Founding Fathers, I know that John Adams, I can't remember the name of the act now, it escapes me. But I think it was the Alien and Sedition Act that, in his mind and the way he was enforcing that, it was pretty much if you did criticize him or his administration, you could be thrown in jail for it. And that was not in the spirit of the Constitution or the First Amendment. And he came under a lot of fire for that. And it took a while for presidents and governors and other authoritative figures in the government to figure out how that was supposed to work. And it works pretty well now. You can go out there and you can say anything you want to about the government. Look at the things that people have said about Donald Trump. People have gone out there, these idiots like Kathy Griffin with their head cut off of Trump, and Johnny Depp saying he'd like to assassinate Trump. Then they all backpedal because they're typical cowardly liberals. And then they all backpedal and say, "Oh, I was just kidding." No, you weren't. You weren't kidding at all. Johnny Depp is a pussy. He doesn't have the balls to assassinate anyone, but he would certainly like to see the president assassinated. When Barack Obama was president, I disagreed with everything he stood for. Everything. I couldn't stand him. I couldn't stand watching him. He was petulant and arrogant. I couldn't stand listening to him. I couldn't stand the cadence of his voice. I never felt like assassinating him. I never thought that about going and getting some mannequin head and cutting it off or hanging him in effigy. I disagreed with him politically. That's all it was. Big deal. I'm not gonna, whatever he was gonna do. Nothing that Barack Obama did, none of his policies, nothing he enacted affected me directly, except for Obamacare. Well, you know what? That's really the only legislation he passed. I'm going to do a video about that too. But Obamacare only affected me personally, and the fact that my taxes had to pay for a program that I or anyone in my family qualified for. I still had to pay for it. And that was bullshit. But it didn't make me want to kill him. And chances are that all these never Trumpers, there's nothing that Donald Trump has done that has really affected their lives personally. But anyway, I'm getting off track. Now let's move on to the Second Amendment. Here again, some conservatives are confused about the Second Amendment, and all liberals, and almost all liberals, and all progressives are confused about it. All it says is that we can have guns to form a militia. That's essentially what it says. It doesn't say what kind of guns. I don't think machine guns ought to be illegal. For if you can buy a, if you can go do your 10-day waiting period or whatever is for whatever state you're in, California, you have to wait 10 days. If you get that and your background check's okay, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be able to own a machine gun. I wouldn't want one. I don't have any use for one. I'm not a gun collector. I have some guns, but I don't collect them. But it doesn't say what kind of guns you have. It doesn't specify handguns. It doesn't say scary looking guns. It just says we can have guns in order to form a militia should that need arise. And people say, especially the liberals and the progressives, but we have an army. That's our militia. No, the army is not our militia. It is actually the opposite of a militia, because should the government become oppressive and because should the government become tyrannical and oppressive, the army, the military, are the people they're going to use to enforce that tyranny. And we, as the citizens, have the right to have guns so we can form a militia to fight a tyrannical government, just like we did in the Revolutionary War. You have to remember, when the Constitution, the amendments were set forth, we had just fought a revolution against a tyrannical government, namely Great Britain, and namely England. And we won. A bunch of farmers with muskets and squirrel guns and pitchforks and knives beat what was at that time the most powerful army in the world. We won with a militia. So, I mean, they didn't have Abrams tanks and flamethrowers back then, but we could probably still give the army a pretty good fight, because as citizens, should that occur, we would still vastly outnumber the military. They can't use all their tanks at once. Maybe who knows how that would work. But anyway, that is what the Second Amendment's there for. It doesn't tell us what the guns that it doesn't tell us what kind of guns we should be able to use. It has nothing about automatic, semi-automatics, rifles, handguns, shotguns. It doesn't say. It just says we have the right to bear arms to build a militia should that need arise. I don't know what's so difficult to understand about that. The Republicans have stood by over the years and allowed the Democrats to dismantle the Second Amendment and alter the First Amendment piece by piece, a piece here and a piece there and a piece here and a piece there. Let's scary guns, AR-15s, hate speech, little of this, little of that. Can't use this word, can't say that. And the next thing you know, we don't have amendments anymore. They're gone. They've already taken the teeth out of much of the Second Amendment, and they're getting there with the First Amendment. And the liberals believe that the First Amendment should apply to them in all situations, no matter what. Even as I talked about a while ago, they think they should be protected from me. They think they should be able to come up and jump in my face, poke me in the chest, push me, come at me with a bar while they're come at me with a steel bar while they're spewing their vile hatred bullshit, and me just stand there and put up with it because they're exercising their First Amendment rights. I'm going to exercise my right as a citizen of the United States to defend myself. So if you see me at one of these rallies and you feel like you're going to get in somebody's face, you better make sure it ain't mine, or you better make sure you can whip me. But I'm not trying to be a tough guy. I'm just trying to make a point. But First and Second Amendments are not there to protect us from each other. They're not there to specify what can be said and what can't be said, and what kind of gun we can have and what kind of gun we can't have. They're there to protect us from a tyrannical government. And should the shit hit the fan and that happen, you liberals and progressives are going to be the first ones crying to the conservatives. You're going to be hiding behind us, You're going to be hiding behind us as we get out the guns that we have the right to own and defend ourselves as a citizenry, because you have been pussies your whole life and you've never understood what these amendments are really about. And you'll be hiding, or you'll join the other side, and there's whatever you want to be part of that, be part of that. But I think that in the end you would find that you enjoy your freedom more than you enjoy your supposed freedoms. All right. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm all wet, but I don't think so. Like, share, subscribe. Click on a button. Click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. And we will see you all later.